The White Bear's Promise. Tonight let me tell you a story of a journey through snow and silence, through love, loss, and quiet courage. It is an old tale from the north, where winter stretches long and the sky glows with hidden light. So settle in now, let your breath slow, and listen. East of the sun and west of the moon, in a small house at the edge of a great forest, there lived a poor farmer with his wife and their many children. They had little to eat, little to wear, and little to hope for beyond each passing day. Yet among the children, the youngest daughter was the most beautiful. Her face was soft as morning light, and her eyes held a quiet kindness that made even hard days feel gentler. One night, as the wind whispered across the snow, there came a knock at the door. The farmer opened it, and there, standing in the dark, was a great white bear. Its fur shone pale as moonlight, and its voice, when it spoke, was deep and calm. "I will make you rich," said the bear, "if you will give me your youngest daughter." The room fell silent. The father trembled. The girl lowered her eyes. At first he refused, but the bear returned the next night, and the next, and slowly, as hunger and hardship pressed upon them, the father began to waver. At last the girl spoke softly. "I will go," she said, "if it will help you." And so, wrapped in a simple cloak, she stepped out into the snow. The great white bear lowered itself, and she climbed upon its back, and together they disappeared into the silent night. Part 2. The Hidden Palace in the Mountain. They travelled far, through forests where the trees stood tall and still, across valleys buried in snow, over hills that shimmered beneath the pale sky. At last they came to a great mountain. The bear carried her inside, and there, hidden deep within, was a palace. It was warm and filled with light. Golden lamps glowed softly, silken curtains drifted gently in the air, and everything she needed was already waiting. "You will be well cared for here," said the bear, "but there is one thing you must never do." "What is it?" she asked. "You must never look upon me at night." The girl agreed. And so, each night, as darkness fell, someone came to her. A voice spoke gently. A presence sat beside her, and though she could not see him, she felt no fear, only a quiet warmth, and in time, she came to love him. Part 3. A mother's whispered days passed peacefully. The girl wandered through the palace, wondering at its beauty, and each night she listened to the unseen voice beside her, until one evening a longing stirred within her. "I wish to see my family," she said softly. The voice grew quiet. "You may go," it said at last, "but you must promise me something." "I promise," she said. "You must not speak alone with your mother. If you do, she will try to persuade you to do what must never be done." The girl agreed, and soon she was returned to her home. Her family wept with joy to see her again. They marvelled at her fine clothes and her gentle happiness. But her mother watched her closely, and one night, when the others slept, she whispered, "Tell me everything." The girl hesitated, but slowly she spoke, and her mother listened, and then placed a small candle into her hand. "You must see him," she said. "Light this when he sleeps. Surely there can be no harm." The girl felt uncertain, but love and curiosity can be difficult to resist. Part 4. The Candle and the Broken Spell. That night, back in the palace, the girl waited. When the unseen presence beside her fell still, she reached for the candle. Her hand trembled. Then slowly, she lit it. The flame flickered, and in its soft light, she saw him, a prince, more beautiful than she had ever imagined. His face was calm and gentle, his features soft as a dream. The girl's breath caught. She leaned closer, and without thinking, a single drop of wax fell. It touched his skin, and he woke. At once, the light seemed to fade, and his expression changed. "What have you done?" he said, quietly. Her heart sank. "I only wished to see you," she whispered. He closed his eyes. "I was under a spell," he said. "A wicked queen has bound me to her daughter. I could only be free if you had trusted me." The room grew colder. "Now," he said, "I must go to her. She lives in a castle east of the sun and west of the moon." And before she could speak again, he was gone. East of the Sun, hello, 1, 2, 3, Part 5, A Journey Beyond the World. The palace vanished, the warmth faded, and the girl stood alone, in the cold morning air. For a moment she could not move, then slowly she began to walk. "I will find him," she said, and so began her journey. She walked through forests, across mountains, through lands where no path remained. Along the way she met strange and gentle helpers. An old woman gave her a golden apple, another gave her a golden comb, and a third gave her a golden spinning wheel. "These will help you," they said. At last she came to the edge of the world. There the winds themselves spoke. The north wind carried her across the sky. The west wind bore her farther still. And at last the east wind took her where she needed to go, to a castle far beyond all ordinary places. Part 6, Where Love Finds Its Way Again. The castle stood silent and cold. Inside, the prince lived, bound to the queen's daughter. The girl entered quietly. She found the princess and offered her treasures. "For one night with him," she said. The princess agreed. But that night, the prince did not wake, for he had been given a sleeping potion. The girl wept beside him, but he could not hear. The second night, she tried again. Still, he slept. But on the third night, a servant whispered to the prince what had happened, and so when the girl came again, he woke and saw her and knew her. At once, everything changed. The prince refused the false bride, and the spell broke. The queen and her daughter vanished, and the darkness lifted. Together the girl and the prince returned home, no longer hidden, no longer separated, and in time they were married, not in shadow, but in light. And so ends the story, a story of love that lost its way and found it again, a story of patience and courage and the long road back to what matters most. Perhaps tonight, as you rest, it leaves behind one quiet thought, that even when we lose something precious, the heart remembers the way. And sometimes, if we keep going, we find it again. Good night.